All right, now moving on to Saturday. Saturday, we're talking about starting off with weapon retention.
Right.
And talking to a couple of my clients and stuff, they're thinking that weapon retention is, I'm going to use the term holster retention, how to properly keep your firearm in your holster when you're walking around or whatever.
Sure.
But that's not the class at all. So we're talking about weapon retention from the point of you have your firearm out and somebody tries to grab it, or you have it in the holster and you're in a hand-to-hand type situation and that person is trying to grab it. So let's talk about that. I mean, obviously being a U.S. Marshal, this is something you got to worry about is the bad guy grabbing your firearm.
Yeah. So, as you said, we all learn, and I learn every time from you and our students is, when I said that, or you and I discussed that, we use the typical jargon that everybody uses, weapon retention, and expecting everybody to know it. So now I've kind of got a glimpse of, hey, maybe we should think of a different term or at least explain it. So that's what Jeff and I were here for is, look, weapon retention, guys, is something that I've been asked for in the civilian world since, I retired almost 10 years ago, and it's not done. And Jeff hit it right on the head, guys. We're going to talk a little bit about concealed carry methodologies, mainly focusing on the waistband, whether that's whatever position on the waistband you want to carry, appendix, or wherever you prefer to carry. We'll touch a little bit on the purse for the ladies there. There's some pros and cons to that, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, I'm going to reverse the order Jeff did, but it's the same thing. From it's in the holster, you get involved in an entangled physical unarmed confrontation, and the person reaches down around the waistband area and says, hey man, this guy's got a gun. Now we got to fight to keep the gun secured. It may fall out of that, come out of the holster a little bit, but how to keep it secured. And then I'm going to just go backwards from what Jeff said, but it's the same thing. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to give you some ideas for close quarter. I'm going to use this word, violent, level 10, because we're talking about a lethal force situation now, guys. I'm even going to try to quickly address other opportunities for different improvised type weapons and even edge weapons, because the person isn't taking that weapon, I can guarantee you, to clean it for you. They're going to do something nefarious with it. So we're going to talk about some effective, simple to learn, simple to do for anybody, close quarter tools, physical, personal weapons. Then we're going to talk about proactive and reactive responses, how to prevent somebody from getting there and how to do something once they've got there, reacting to that. How to control them while they're controlling your weapon, because their focus is on the weapon. And if we can adhere ourselves to them, Jeff and I are going to work on that. It's commonly done in most grappling arts. And again, you don't have to be a grappler. You don't have to be in any kind of shape for this. It's very, very easy to remember, recall, and perform, heaven forbid, if you have to. And then we're going to talk about, like Jeff said, in the holster techniques and tactics, out of the holster, whether extended or halfway back to what we call compressed. And then what I like to call about the 3 C's of any kind of armed weapon control. So we're going to hit all that. And I think it's very important that, we talk about keeping the weapon safe in a safe or a safe box or a safe location. We need to, that's our responsibility when we're out on the street or anywhere else. And if we get into, as I mentioned, maybe an unarmed, it started off as an unarmed entanglement, some kind of aggressive altercation, the person now discovers you're a concealed carrier and starts to fight you for that weapon. That's what we're talking about when we talk about weapon retention. So that's what Jeff and I thought, man, this hasn't been presented that I know of.
Right.
But it's been asked for. So, man, when Jeff said, hey, let's do that, I couldn't have been happier. So, Jeff, I appreciate you bringing that up. And I appreciate the opportunity for us to bring that to the folks in Central New York.
Yeah, and I think it's important because if that person that you're hopefully defending yourself again gets your weapon, now they may use it against you. You kind of did this class or parts of the class a few years ago, like when I first met you. And one of the key takeaways that I had automatically was you get in this altercation with somebody and they grab your firearm, it may take that firearm out of battery. It may put it into a position now that you can't fire it, and you have to deal with that in a stressful situation when somebody's coming at you. And that was a big takeaway for me. Like, I thought of that, but I never really thought of that.
And just to build off of, like you said, these calls, these discussions that you and I have, so folks can listen, learn, and call and ask us questions. I know you guys have our numbers, and Jeff's going to give it to you again, or any way to contact us is when we talked about live fire, when Jeff mentioned malfunctions, which I'm going to cover while I'm up there in August, is like Jeff said, I don't know how your weapon got out of battery or is now in a malfunction, whether it be a double feed or some kind of stovepipe. Generally, in what Jeff was just talking about, fighting for your weapon, it generally doesn't have slide lock. Could it? Absolutely, anything's possible. But that's where that kind of learning the tool comes in. Now I've got to learn how to clear that malfunction while I'm still engaged in this life-threatening situation of entanglement even. So great point, Jeff. Appreciate that. And that's why we said these are all building off each other. So this is fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm super excited for this. So that's Saturday morning, and then Saturday afternoon we're going to have what one of my classes called reality check.